Recording has started.
Okay, Chair Schmidt, I have 5:36.
Yeah, anytime you want, Cheryl, go ahead and you can start with the intro.
Okay, this is the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Committee. This is a remote regular meeting, via video conference. The bit.ly number is bit.ly/3CDEACS. The password is Sunshine. Public comment call-in number 415-655-0001. The meeting ID is 2487-138-3323 ##. The date is September 20th, 2022. Remote access to information and participation. In accordance with Governor Newsom's Executive Order N3320, declaring a state of emergency regarding the COVID-19 outbreak, and Mayor London M. Breed's proclamation declaring a local emergency issued on February 25th, 2020, including the guidance for gatherings issued by the San Francisco Department of Public Health Officer. Aggressive directives were issued to reduce the spread of COVID-19. On March 17, 2020, the Board of Supervisors authorized their board and committee meetings to convene remotely via Microsoft Teams and will allow remote public comment via teleconference. Members of the public may participate by phone or may submit their comments by email to sotf@sfgov.org. All comments received will be made a part of the official record. The Sunshine Ordinance Task Force agendas and their associated documents are available at sfbos.org/sunshine. As the COVID-19 disease progresses, please visit the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force website regularly to be updated on the current situation as it affects the legislative process. Chair Schmidt, do you want to read meeting decorum?
Yes. Any member of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force may call for decorum due to disorderly conduct of meeting participants. Persons who engage in threatening and or menacing behavior may be asked to leave. So we could go to number 1.
Item number 1, call to order, roll call, and agenda changes. Roll call. Member Wolf.
I'm going to go ahead and unmute 2 unidentified callers to see if they are missing a member. I've just unmuted 2 callers. If one of those lines was Member Wolf, please so state.
Member Wolf, are you present?
We're not.
There was some.
Go ahead.
There was some email. It looked like there's a chance he wouldn't be coming. He's got something going on later this evening. But the email was just in the last hour or 2. So I think we ought to just go ahead. My guess is he's not going to be here.
Okay, but all right, let's continue with roll call then. Member Wolf is not present. Member Stein?
Present.
Member Stein present. Chair Schmidt?
Present.
Chair Schmidt present. We have a quorum. Agenda changes. I think what I want to do is just advise the committee and people listening in that we will be taking the first 3 items on the agenda, and then after public comment, we will have a recess until about 6:15, where we will begin having the complaint files heard, and then conclude with announcements and adjournment. So I am not aware of other agenda changes. Are you members aware of anything?
No.
That seems to cover anything that's changed.
Okay. Good. So we've got roll call, call to order, and agenda changes. Shall I read item number 2?
Yes.
Item number 2, approval of the August 16, 2022 Complaint Committee meeting minutes. So I have a copy of the August 16 minutes. Does anybody have any suggested changes?
I do not.
Nothing from me. It sounds like the members are fine with it.
All right.
So I'll move to approve.
And Laura, excuse me, Member Stein, you
Yes,
are
I second that.
right. Let's do a roll call. Chair Schmidt,
Aye. Don't we need public comment on it?
Oh, yes.
right.
If there are any members of the public who would like to provide public comment on this item, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 if you're on the phone, or using the application to go ahead and raise your hand. I will give everyone a few moments to indicate public comment if they so wish. I see no indications of public comment at this time.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
On a second. Sorry, I just need a second to do that. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Stein.
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Moved by Chair Schmidt, seconded by Member Stein to approve the August 16, 2022 minutes.
We would also like to note that Member Wolf is not present for the vote.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for noting. Okay. Shall I read item number 3?
Yes, please.
Item number 3, public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda.
Yes, if you'd like to provide public comment, you can raise your hand at this time by pressing *3 or otherwise using the application to raise your hand. At this time, we have one hand raised.
Do we have a public commenter?
Yes.
Okay. Can I get your name so that I can have it in the record?
Yes, my name is Zach Carnazes. I'd prefer it if you abbreviate it for the record as Zach K.
Okay.
Please let me know when it's my chance to speak.
Yeah, I will. Just a second. Okay. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, I am. I'm using a timer, so I do not need a reminder.
Go ahead.
It's 2 minutes, correct?
3.
3 minutes. Okay. Thank you for your time. Hi, my name is Zach Carnazes. I've been before this committee before, and I'm a disability and human rights activist, as well as someone who has had the unfortunate responsibility of bringing to light many egregious public records violations around the city. I'm speaking today primarily because of the difficulties in ADA disability accommodations being granted from this department. Specifically because, and I do not mean to harp on individuals, I do not do this, but in this circumstance, it warrants it because the public-facing person for this office is Cheryl Leger. My apologies if I'm mispronouncing the last name. But Cheryl, in her capacity, has really done a unsatisfactory job of acknowledging and responding to American with Disabilities Act requests, has required me to send email after email after email after email. I mean, we're talking dozens of emails over the course of months for very simple accommodations. I've had to routinely request assistance and education from the Mayor's Office on Disability, as well as the Mayor's Disability Council, as well as the ADA coordinator for the Board of Supervisors. This is not normal. This is not something that I typically have to do, and it's exhausting. Cheryl has also, with this meeting, listed the wrong date in the announcement. That's happened numerous times before, and has listed the wrong respondent now for many months, in fact, almost a year for case, I believe it's 21033. That case has been pointed out as the wrong respondent for nearly a year now. I've brought it up over a dozen emails. I even brought it up in person when there was a hearing being held incorrectly because it had the incorrect respondent. Additionally, when I've asked Cheryl Leger for a copy of my initial filing or some substantive explanation of what the hearing case is about. To keep these problems from occurring, she will not provide that and instead just says the respondent and that it's a violation of this ordinance. That does not satisfy the request of substantive explanation of what the case is about. Cheryl has been an embarrassment to this office. She continues to make clerical errors. She continues to misuse her authority and her position, and even tried to close a bunch of my cases saying that I had not communicated with this office, which is completely false. I had to file a separate ADA complaint for that because she did that after I requested some ADA accommodations. It really makes SOTF look terrible, the Sunshine Ordinance look terrible, to have a person like this public facing who is mismanaging her role so routinely, so regularly. And I don't know her personally. I have nothing against her personally.
Thank you.
Now my time is up. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
My time is up now. Yeah, I set a timer.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, this is Victor Young. I do not see any additional hands raised. I believe we can close public comment at this time.
In terms of, I just want to say, in terms of two different kinds of issues. One is sort of general issues about errors, mistakes, contentions. That's something I want to separate out a little bit from a request for accommodations based on disability. And it's my understanding that anything that is a task force item, there is an ADA coordinator, and this is just my understanding at this time, and I wasn't aware until recently that the person who is the ADA coordinator for those types of requests, I believe that's Alyssa Samero, who is the same person who is the ADA coordinator for the board. And so I just want to just confirm that that's where any kind of determinations ultimately lie in terms of accommodations. Thank you, Mr. Young.
Lisa Samara is not the ADA coordinator. She is our supervisor, the legislative deputy director.
Okay.
The person I usually go to for ADA issues is Wilson Ng. I believe that the speaker is aware of who Mr. Ng is.
Okay. So that changes that. I was wrong. I misthought that it was Alyssa Samero, but now it sounds like any kind of request regarding ADA accommodations, that's the direction it should go in, is to Wilson Ng. Understood.
Okay, understood. But in the past, I have approached Alyssa about ADA questions, and she has responded to some of Mr. Carnazzi's questions that he's had.
Okay.
So, I mean, I will definitely send Mr. Carnazzi to Mr. Ng from now on, but that's just been my experience.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make, since there were some requests made here, I just want to make sure that the channel to those people who would either make an accommodation or deny an accommodation, that channel is made clear.
Chair Smith, I'd just like to maybe clarify. Mr. Ng would provide us or provide the task force advice, but we would be responsible for complying with any ADA request ourselves.
Okay.
As the staff,
the task force as a whole.
No, we just, as our staff, as myself and Cheryl. Actually, Cheryl, I'm not actually assigned to the Sunshine Task Force myself.
Yeah.
But Cheryl would be responsible for responding to any ADA requests on behalf of the task force, and she can request advice from our staff, our ADA coordinator, if needed.
Okay. It is. Let me just get a little bit of a confirmation. Is there somebody who sort of wears the hat of ADA coordinator? Because it sounds like, Victor, you're saying that would be Wilson Ing.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. That clarifies that. So then we know that, you know, whether or not people consult with other people, et cetera, that's fine. I just want to know who would be where the sort of the buck stops on any kind of requests. Okay.
I believe it is Wilson Ing. As far as I know, he is the assigned EDA coordinator, and he will be the person I would go to ask any questions if I had any doubts.
All right. Thank you, Victor. All right, that's pretty much what I wanted to just state on the record. I guess we're done with public comments. I don't think there was anyone else. So unless there's anything else, we may be going into a break now.
Okay, let me check. We have one other caller on the line. I'm just going to unmute them. Hello, caller. I have unmuted you. I'm just wondering if you're part of any of the next two items for item 4 or 5. We're not getting any response at this time. We have two other people on the line where I can see their names. I'm going to go ahead and unmute them and see if they're part of file 4 or 5.
Yeah, good.
Hello,
Hi. Sorry, go ahead.
please go ahead.
This is Mayada from PUC. I'm here representing PUC on item 5, I believe. 4. Forgive me, 4.
Okay. Is there anybody here for item 5? Anybody here for 5? We have one other person, Adaku, but I don't believe that person is listening at this time.
She, I believe, is for item 5.
Okay, no, not a problem. She just may not be paying attention, so I believe this
Hello?
would be. Oh, hi. We just wanted to see if you're here for item.
Yes, I'm here for item 5. This is
Okay,
Adaku.
no problem. We're most likely going to take a recess at this time. I'll turn it back over to the chair to make a determination on time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there was I don't know if I'd call it a change in schedule, but the cases that were scheduled to be heard during the next period of time, they all were either dismissed or they're not going to go forward for some other reason today. So we're, instead of having those on as we had initially thought, we're going to take a break because the petitioner who is on the last two cases, we had scheduled her to be at the end of the schedule, and we've made an announcement. You may have seen the announcement that we're going to reconvene in, looks like 25 minutes at 6:15 to hear those cases. So we can, I think we can go ahead and take that break now.
Okay, I
Make a motion or?
No, it's no need to take a motion. This is privilege of the chair. So I'd just like to restate that the committee at this time intends to take a recess until 6:15. I would suggest that everyone turn off their microphones and their cameras as the recording will still be in progress.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, just the meeting is in recess until 6:15. Hi, Chair Smith. This is Victor. I'd just like to confirm that our petitioner is present. I have added all the parties as participants, so they will have control over their own microphone at this time. So at your discretion, you can reconvene the meeting.
Yeah, let's go ahead and hear the next item. If we have the petitioner as scheduled.
I'd just like to confirm that we do have our quorum of the committee back, and you can go ahead and proceed. We can reconvene and proceed with the meeting.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, Cheryl, we can call the item. You may be muted. I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I took a quick roll call because we have to have that on the record of Chair Schmidt and Member Stein present. The time is 6:18. Okay, and item number 4, I believe, right? So we're ready for item number 4?
Yes.
Item number 4, file number 21128, complaint filed by Maria Schulman against Mayara Ruski Augusto Sa and the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721, 6726B as in boy, and 6727, California Public Records Action, Section 6253D as in dog, by failing to respond to a request for public records in a timely and a complete manner and failing to provide written justification for withholdings.
Okay. The general schedule here is that we hear from each of the parties for up to 3 minutes, although we do have all the papers that you've submitted. So we've read those. We know what the case is about. Then after opening statements, as they're called, we may have questions for the parties. We will then deliberate. We do not make a final decision in this committee, but we may make recommendations, and we do make determinations about whether there is jurisdiction, whether documents are public or not, and in many cases, we then will schedule for a full task force meeting. So now I will call for. I know both parties are here, as far as I know. Let me just first quickly disclose that I have met the petitioner before. She's a friend of a friend. I've spoken with her a few times, but it will not affect my ability to hear the case. I just wanted to disclose that on the record. And so at this time, I will hand it over. When Cheryl's ready, Ms. Schulman, you can have up to 3 minutes to tell us about your case.
Ms. Schulman, are you ready to begin? Ms. Schulman?
She's muted.
I will go ahead and unmute her, but she does have control of her own microphone at this time.
Okay.
Ms. Schulman, are you ready to begin?
For those who can't see, it does look like there is a designation that Ms. Schulman is called in or is in the meeting somehow, but we're not hearing from Ms. Schulman at this time.
I'm going to go ahead and unmute our phone callers just in case they have a dual log on.
Oh, we are getting written communications. So it does look like we've
She
just
can
got to
hear
get
us.
the communication established.
Yeah. Ms. Schulman, can you hear us?
She can hear us. Let's just give her a few moments. She's probably trying to get her computer working. Let's just give her a few
Now I
moments
can.
to get ready.
Yeah.
She said she's unmuted, but we can't hear her. Ms. Schulman?
She is unable to speak at this time. She's going to log out and log back in. And if that continues to be a problem, you can always use your phone to call in also, and we can take your testimony that way. The login information is on the agenda. She has logged back in. I have unmuted her. Can you hear us now?
No, I can't hear them.
We can hear her though.
That was Laura, Member Stein.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Laura.
I know that actually wasn't me.
It wasn't?
No.
That was someone else? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Is that Ms.
Yes.
Schulman?
Oh, good.
Yes. Yeah, great.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to install WebEx to get into this thing, and anyway.
Yeah. No, it's understood. Totally understood. Yeah, there's always a lot of these glitches that we deal with in this environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ms. Schulman, are you ready to begin speaking?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a point in time. I don't know if you were hearing anything, but we opened the case up, and it's now we want to give you up to 3 minutes to tell us anything you want to tell us about the case. And yet, we've already looked at the files, so you don't need to tell us what you've made clear in the paperwork.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I heard most of that. Okay.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So yeah, I'll start talking when you're ready, Cheryl.
Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I filed this records request on, I think I submitted it on the 25th of August in 2021, and I received a number of documents, but they were without itemized redactions. And I believe that that's in violation of 67.26 because the redactions were not keyed by footnote or other clear reference to the appropriate justification. Additionally, some records were missing. On September 8th, I followed up asking for a record of an email that was missing from what I had received, and I was not given that missing record until September 28th, over a month after I had filed the initial records request. And that record also has entire pages that have been redacted without itemized redactions, which I think is in violation of 6726. And that record is page 54 to 58 in the attachment on the agenda. And then there were two other records that have redactions that don't seem to contain the kind of identifying information that the respondent has cited. The first redaction is on page 7 in the attachments, which is the same as page 51. It's an email, and it's towards the bottom of this document. And it just looks like it's not itemized, first of all, and it, second of all, doesn't seem to be covering up like name, credit history, utility usage data, or things like that. And then the same text is redacted on page 47 in the attachments. And then also on page 53 in the attachments, the document that says like CT case events as on the title, there's another redaction that doesn't seem like it's a name or address or phone number. But I don't know because the redactions aren't footnoted or itemized. And I think that's all I have to say. I don't know how much time I have left. I wrote something like a year ago about, but I would like to revise my like what I've just said now is basically my statement. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. And you would have, assuming we push this on to the full task force, you would have another opportunity if you wish to submit something in writing beforehand. Okay, when Cheryl's ready, we now can hear from a representative of the responding party.
Thank you. Cheryl, let me know when to start, please.
Are you ready, Mayara?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I will start addressing the claim that we did not respond in a timely manner. So we did respond in a timely manner to this request. We got this request on August 26th of 2021. So the 10-day mark would be on September 6th, 2021, which is it was Labor Day last year. So the deadline to provide a written 10-day response was September 7th. On September 7th, we did provide an initial response to the request. We produced the majority of the records in our possession. We also estimated that we would be able to produce the remainder of the responsive records in the upcoming days. Important to note that at the time we got the request in August of 2021, the 10-day deadline to produce records pursuant to the Sunshine Ordinance was suspended by the 5th supplement to the mayoral proclamation of local emergency. I believe section 7A, and we provided a copy of that. It's page 32 of the packet, has a declaration. In any case, we did comply with the rules from the California Public Records Act, and on the 10th date, September 7th, we provided most of the records, and we provided the remainder of the records we had on September 8th, 2021. So we did respond in a timely manner, and the Sunshine Ordinance deadlines were suspended at that time. So even our response to the follow-up we got on September 8th, which we responded to on the 28th, was still covered by the timelines that were good at that time. The original request was for records of a wastewater report, a conserve track request, and a 311 request. And we did provide all of those records with the appropriate redaction as required by law and the legal citation that would accompany those redactions. The request for the email, we read it as a follow-up request since the initial request was for the actual reports and requests. And we did provide the justification for all the redactions that we were making. And the redactions were based on the utility customer exemption data from the California Public Records Act, the state constitution, and the California Public Records Act when it comes to privacy, and the California Evidence Code that protects the identity of the informer. So even when
your time is up.
I'll give her a bit more time. You can go on a little bit.
Thank you so much, Chair. And even when Ms. Schumann requested some clarification on the redactions, we corresponded before and we were clarifying that all of the redactions were based on the privacy and customer utility data, which are kind of overlap. The two things are the same justification at the end of the day. You're redacting people's names and addresses. And Ms. Schumann alleged that because she could get the information that we redacted by accessing the county recorder's website, we should provide that information. PUC does not maintain a register of property owners. We are not responsible for maintaining that. We do maintain a database of utility customer accounts, and we are required by law to protect the information of our account holders. So the fact that you can obtain information in some other manner does not cancel PUC's responsibility to protect their customer information. So the redactions were not keyed into the records, but it's because all of the exemptions that we used are overlapping, right? You're redacting someone's names under privacy to protect their information, oh my God, the person making the request, and as well as because they were a customer. So the overlap of all the redactions is really what, why would you key it if you're redacting the same information? Oh, because the three legal citations apply to that same portion of the document. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. Questions for the parties from the members? Member Stein, do you have any questions?
So I guess I have a question or two for the respondent. When you invoke the 1041 evidence code, can you tell me exactly what aspect of 1041 you're invoking and how that comes into play in this case?
Sure. So that section protects the identity of the informer. So because it was a request for wastewater reports, 311 requests, and what was the name of the third report? A conserve track request. So those are tools that the PUC has available to the public to complain about a situation where they observe that someone is wasting water, right, during the drought, which has an impact to it. So the idea is to protect the identity of the informer, mostly to not hinder anyone to make such requests, right? If you go past someone washing their car with a running hose and you want to make a complaint, you should feel comfortable enough to make that complaint and not be fearful that there might be some sort of repercussion, lashbacks. So the idea is to protect the identity of that informer so we can have this be a useful tool for the public and to, try to remedy the drought that we're at this point.
Okay, and when you say you provided justifications for all the redactions, that's referring to the blanket, you're referring to the blanket statement that they're covered by either the evidence code or the Constitution or the California Government Code 6254-16 or 6554-C, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's my questions.
Okay. For the respondent, first I'll ask, are there any documents that were within the scope of the request here that were fully withheld?
I think that email at first, because most of the follow-up request we got on September 8th was an email where this person provided a lot of information about themselves and about someone else, and with all of their customer information. So we just basically withheld that record because it was all of the useful information, let's put it that way, was information we would redact. When Ms. Schumann followed up and requested a copy of that email, we provided a redacted version of it that at the end of the day had very little information because most of it was either private or customer information.
Okay, but you did give a paper document with just a lot of redactions to Ms. Shulman, which would have been the document you're referring to now. Is that correct?
Yeah. It has basically no useful information just because
Okay.
everything was protected.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the redactions, I've got, well, the redactions to me, they're kind of a big part of this matter. And I want to ask you, who was a person, if you know, who sits down and decides each item, each word, each number to redact? Is that you?
It's me. Mostly it's me, yes. I do
Okay.
consult with the city attorney's office, obviously, because there are things beyond my knowledge.
Okay, but that is something that you actually probably, maybe you consulted with people, but you manually were applying the redaction in whatever type of format you use, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And okay, I think that's all I have question wise.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, members' time, please.
Yeah, and this is for the petitioner, because I want to make sure I understand like why you have the sense that something more than non-disclosable information was redacted. And I know you cited certain page numbers, and I've read through the whole packet, but can you elaborate a little bit, or perhaps give us one very specific example of where you suspect that more information was redacted and why?
Yeah, I mean, the pages that I cited are the ones that I'm focused on. Pages 54 to 58 in the attachment. Like,
okay, when you say the attachment, you mean just the PDF that went out for this?
Yeah, on the agenda.
On the agenda. Okay, so I'm looking.
Let me open it too.
54 to 58, but
so that's what the respondent just mentioned as something that she first withheld and then produced after I asked for it, and she didn't produce it until the 28th. And let me find it. And so it's got full pages that are redacted. And so yeah, those pages, I mean, that just seems to me to cover much more than like somebody's name and email and address and stuff. Like, how could that be the whole page?
So I think I see like a completely black page on 64, 65, 66.
Right.
So
yeah, I think those are the pages that I'm referring to. I'm kind of scrolling through my packet right now. Yeah. And then if you keep, let's see, where is it? Scroll. Yeah, so 54, 55, 56. And then if you keep scrolling down, oh, sorry, so not there. But then if you go up to page 50, I think it's 54. Yeah, page 50 packet where it says meet. That's probably a name, I guess, like the XX at 10 a.m. And then there's another line underneath it. And to me, that would be like a note about the outcome of the meeting, and it's redacted. And then on page 7 in that same attachment for this complaint, let me scroll up to it. Sorry. Yeah, so page 7 is like an email exchange between these two city workers. And if you look at the bottom of the email that was sent Monday, August 23rd, there's like a long thing at the bottom.
blank also stated that blank.
Yeah, and it's like the inspector saw fit to include that in his report. And it just seems like that's too long to be a name or a phone number or an address or whatever. So there's that one. And then I think there was one more that I had in my notes. Yeah, no, that's, and so there's the same text is repeated in the attachments, but on page 47 in another document that basically has the text of the email, but it's in another document and it's also redacted.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything further, Member Stein?
No.
Okay, I think we probably can figure out what to do with this case. It looks somewhat straightforward. I will say that there may be some delay issues here, and that's something that we should put before the task force. I think probably, in my opinion, more importantly is the nature of the redactions. I sort of understand this idea of the blanket redactions, although I think that if you're going to do that in the future, you should say that that's what you're doing. You should somehow indicate that every item that's redacted is entitled to all those privileges.
Well, but you
because keying is, that's what keying would require.
Yeah, I was just going to say, though, I think we've looked at a recent case from the SFPD where they had a kind of cover letter with listing like overall what the blanket redactions could be, and the task force looked unfavorably on it. So I'm not, I think a better thing is to just have a list of it could be these things, and then just have even a code, and then you say this one and this one for this redaction, this one and this one for this redaction is probably a better method. But
yeah, that's better. I totally
well,
agree.
yeah, I'm just saying I'm not sure the task force, given that recent SFPD ruling, is in favor of like a long list, and then you don't really know if every redaction was for everything on that list or one or two things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's especially important when we have redactions of a different nature, such as you have privacy redactions on the one hand and maybe some attorney-client. In that case, you definitely are not going to have the same redactions apply to everything. And so that's where it's really important, just for everyone, that you clearly state which redactions apply to each item. Yeah. I also think that more importantly, the redactions, I get a sense of looking at this that this is a pretty broad construal of the scope of privacy. I kind of with the redactions where it's about well, actually, this let me back up a little bit. I think that these redactions needed to be separated out because some of them are privacy, but other ones are the informer, and those aren't always necessarily going to apply to everything. I doubt if every redaction here involved an informer, and so that's the reason why, as Member Stein says, we need to make it clear when you're using the informer and when you're not, those redactions. I believe that the informer privilege is somewhat problematic for me in how we've seen it used, and I think it's used too broadly. I don't know if it was used too broadly here. Privacy, I think there's a problem because I don't think the city attorney is given the kind of clarification out around the city that would allow people to know that, not every time there's a name or phone number is that protected by any kind of statute or any constitution. It's only specific items. And so, I'm looking at this and it really looks like there's too much redaction here. And so, I think that that's something that definitely we push on to the task force.
So I can make a motion that, this information requested is, under our jurisdiction, and that it is public information, and that we should forward this to the full task force for consideration of timeliness delays and overbroad use of privacy exemptions. That might be too specific, but I think it kind of highlights the two areas that are potentially at play here.
Could I just want to clarify what you're saying. You're moving that there is jurisdiction, the records are public, and recommend violations of time.
No. Recommend forwarding it to the full task force for consideration of timeliness
delays,
and overbroad interpretation of privacy rights.
Got it.
Or privacy exemptions, I should say.
And I don't know if it came through, Cheryl, but I seconded that.
Okay, let's just take a second. Okay, do we want to do public comment now?
Yes, please.
Do we have public commenters, Mr. Young?
Hi, if you'd like to make public comment at this time, you can raise your hand by pressing *3. We have 2 callers on the line. And if you'd like to make public comment at this time, please raise your hand by pressing *3. I'm not seeing any indication for public comment at this time.
Thank you, Victor. Let's vote.
Oh, can I jump in and ask a question?
I'll allow it.
What about keyed by footnote, like the question of the redactions not being keyed by footnote? Like if you guys pass this on to the task force and
I think that would come within the scope of what would be considered. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I think that Member Stein's motion would cover that, but it's a good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Member Stein.
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Wolf, absent. Moved by Member Stein, seconded by Chair Schmidt to find that there is jurisdiction. They are public records and recommend the matter be forwarded to the task force for consideration of timeliness delays and an overbroad interpretation of privacy rights or exemptions.
Okay.
Privacy exemptions.
No rights?
Okay. Next case, Cheryl.
Okay, just a second. I just want to get myself organized here. Okay, we are ready. Item number 5, file number 21132, complaint filed by Maria Schulman against Sherry Valdez and the Department of Public Health for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a request for public records in a timely and or complete manner.
Okay, we can hear, when Cheryl's ready, we can hear from Ms. Schulman on this matter.
Ms. Schulman, are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I filed this request, I believe it was on September 21st, 2021, and you can look back at the records to check that date. And the records were not provided within 10 days. And the respondent said that the records that were requested were part of an open investigation and that therefore they would not release the records until that investigation was closed. And this might be the Department of Public Health's policy, but I believe that that policy violates Section 6736 that says that the Sunshine Ordinance supersedes other local laws. And whenever a conflict in local law is identified, the requirement which would result in a more expedited or greater public access to public information shall apply. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I did eventually receive the records, and so I appreciate that. I got the records on October 14th after I had filed my complaint. And I believe that they provided all the responsive records, and that's nice. But I think that the delay is still something that should be addressed by the task force.
Thank you. Okay, when Cheryl's ready, we can hear from the respondent.
Okay. And that would be Ms. Uday. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, we received this record request on September 21st, 2021. The custodian of the records responded to the request and stated that the complaint was still open and that we would give her the records when the complaint was closed. That is an old practice that the health department has been using. The requester responded to our response through email and stated that we had 10 days to give her the requested documents. When this was brought to my attention, I told the custodian of records to provide all documents, whether the case is open or closed. And we responded and closed the record request on October 14th, 2021. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Member Stein, any questions for the parties?
I have a question, a quick one. I'm sorry, I didn't. You closed the request, Ms. Uday, on what date?
October 14th.
Oh, 14th. Okay.
21.
Thank you.
10/14. Okay, I'll go ahead. I'm not sure if Member Stein.
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, okay.
I do have a question for DPH, which is that you reference a practice. I'm not even, I don't know, or if it's a policy on not releasing documents. Is that in writing somewhere? I mean, not your statement.
No.
That you.
No, we do not have that in writing.
So this is not a written policy. This is just a kind of practice.
That is correct.
Okay. That's all.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, and to follow up on that, do you, to the respondent, do you know of an exemption that is claimed that would protect withholding those documents during that investigation? Do you know an exemption in state law, local law of any kind?
No, I do not.
Okay. And it just, you're going to need to, whether it's a valid one or not, you're going to need to say a law. You're gonna have to say, you know, this law is the basis for either redacting or withholding documents. Yeah, and it doesn't look like, I'm not seeing that that was done here. Practices will not suffice. The investigation, what was being investigated?
1 second, let me look at the documents.
You weren't involved in the investigation, right?
No, I was not.
Okay. And what kind of, let me just ask this. What, if they were looking to see if there was a violation of law, do you know what law that would be that was involved here?
Regarding the complaint?
Yeah, well, regarding the violation investigation, which was the basis for holding these documents back.
Oh, so we were investigating someone feeding birds and creating a rodent infestation or a rodent problem in the area. So that would have been a health code, Article 11. The violation would have been, I believe, Section 581 B8.
Okay, and the investigators, what they would do is would they like cite the owner and order them to abate the problem? Is that how it works?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. And all right. I think that's enough on that line of questioning. Okay. Member Stein, maybe we could consider now, unless you have questions.
Well, I guess I have one other question. I had in my notes that I saw that there were some documents that were sent that DPH seemed to be requesting and that were sent to do with this case that weren't sent until like 5 days ago, that seemed to be responsive documents to this case. Is that true, or were those irrelevant? There was documents from the Children's Environmental Health Protection Program. And I guess I'm asking this of the petitioner because you said the documents were sent to you in October, but I saw these documents that seem to have been sent 9/15/22. Are you aware of those?
5 days. Yeah. I think that's fine. I think that was me giving the Sunshine Task Force a copy of the next request. And yeah, when I sent the records request to DPH, a bunch of departments responded, and one of them was that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
I think it's cool.
Okay.
All right. Now we'll consider how to handle the case. Member Stein, any ideas on this one?
I mean, these are, I can make a motion that these are public documents under our jurisdiction. And I would suggest forwarding this to the task force for its consideration.
I'll second that.
Do we want to take public comment, Chair Schmidt?
Yes, please.
If you'd like to make public comment, please press *3 or *6. Apologize. Victor, do we have anybody? Mr. Young, do we have anybody in the queue?
I do not see any hands raised. I believe it's *3 to raise your hand to the application. We do have 2 listeners via telephone, but they are not raising their hand at this time. I think we can move on. There's no public comment on this matter.
Okay, we can have a vote.
Member Stein.
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Chair Schmidt?
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Wolf, absent. Moved by Member Stein, seconded by Chair Schmidt, that the records are public, there is jurisdiction, and to forward the matter to the task force for consideration. You ready for item number 6?
Yes.
Item number 6, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items by members of the complaint committee.
Boy, you know, let me just say, even though it's great having only 2 cases, I think we originally had 6 or 7 on, and everybody's dropping their cases because I was trying to push them through the committee, although now I think that our bottleneck really isn't, even though other people say it is. I think our bottleneck is not in this committee system. It's in the full task force. That's all. That's sort of an announcement, not even a question.
Yeah, and I don't have any announcements to bring up at the moment.
Okay, so I think we're ready to go to the adjournment item.
Item number 7, adjournment. I have 7:03.
Okay. Move to adjourn.
Do I second that?
Okay.
I assume the meeting is adjourned. I'm stopping the recording.
All in favor? Aye. Yes, we're
Aye.
adjourned.
All right. See you at the full task force.
All right.
Okay.